As I just stated this morning, as well as just now, you just heard from Sister Donaldson, the word today has definitely been love. And I had intended to go to chapter 4 in our book on spiritual life coaching, which is Where Do We Go After We Die? This is going to be very interesting. But since it's the fifth Sunday, and there are some critical things going on in our city as well as in our nation, the Lord has prompted. I came here really with two messages, and that's to either do this one or to do this one that I'm getting ready to continue on from last Sunday. Today I'm going to talk about Christ and critical race theory. And this connects with what we started on last week. Now, this just may not be your cup of tea, but I know there's a lot going on that is bringing a lot of deception to us as a people. And I want us to be clear, because if this gets really, really etched into the foundation of our nation, it's getting ready to change how we all live and how we get along with each other. And I'm really trying to deal with those embedded racial attitudes that we have. And so that's why I'm dealing with this. I got several responses, some good, some bad. Some people said, I didn't know that all of this was going on. And then some people were upset with me because they felt like I was not wanting to see African American history being taught in schools. And I realized that most of you sitting in here, don't know what is in the curriculum that they are establishing in schools. They call it the 1619 Project. And the 1619 Project is based on critical race theory. Another reason I'm doing this now is because the Memphis City Council just voted last week before last, to adopt critical race theory in our city. What happened was the state of Tennessee legislature voted down critical race theory being taught in the schools. Well, the city council came and said, well, we're going to do our own thing. We're going to teach it and accept it in the city of Memphis. That's why I chose to move on and talk about this today. So I'm going to take a break from here. I'll pick back up with this on next week. CRT, or critical race theory, is spreading all over the nation, and I want to protect my people from error and deception. As I said, if you go to the website, you will see the research. I've done it for you. If you don't believe me, go online. Everything you need to know is out there. The news media is corrupt. The mainstream news media is corrupt. They hold back what you need to know, and they tell you more stuff in order to keep you confused. So you can't go by the secular mainstream media that is out there today. What's the mainstream media? Primarily CBS, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, CNN. That's your mainstream. And Fox a little bit. Fox has changed somewhat, but they still will allow Christian and conservative beliefs. But this is very serious for our children because the souls of our children are at stake. It's in the government now, government offices. It's in the business corporations. White people now in the government are told to renounce who they are, renounce their white privilege in order for them to get a job. You can't get this job if you don't come in and renounce who you are. And I'm going to show you why in a moment. But it's saturating our society, and it's even in our churches. I'm watching them now. They are talking about the anniversary of the Tulsa riots, going all the way back to bring all that back up. If you don't know the story, early 1900s, black people were living in wealth. They were doing well, owned all kind of businesses, and then some racist white haters came in and burned that part of town down. Well, that happened back in the early 1900s, and now they're driving it all up because there is an agenda that is trying to push hate and push division and it comes from critical race theory. Now, for those of you who were not here, or if you were here, just as a reminder, what is critical race theory? Critical race theory says that you divide the world into two categories, the oppressed and oppressors. If you're not a part of the oppressors, then you are oppressed. And they base that, all who are based on a certain color of skin, they determine it by your race, your gender, your sexual orientation, whether or not you are an immigrant. That's why we are seeing immigrants flooding into our nation now. It's all about critical race theory. Now, I'm all right about immigrants coming to this country. I do believe we need to vet people before we just let any and everybody come in our country. I think they can base some of the immigration policies, on a, a little bit more easier scale, because some people don't, become legal until 10, 15 years later. So I think we can do a little bit more to advance that, but not any and everybody. Many people are coming from other countries that hate America, and they're sneaking in. They're acting like Hispanics, but they're actually Arab people who are coming in that want to destroy this nation. So critical race theory is going on. If you are a white male, you are considered to be the oppressor. Now, a white female can be considered an oppressor because of her color, but she can also be considered oppressed because of women. Women have not always had their rights, and that's why you have feminists out here now. But primarily the target is the white male. And because they are teaching, this is what they are teaching in schools, that white people are inherently racist, meaning they can't help it. They automatically got it in them. And here's the bad part. It says all white people are racist. Now, I want you to stop for a minute and think about your children hearing that from kindergarten to 12th grade, that these white kids I'm sitting next to in class, they are racist. Their parents are racist. Everything about them is racist. Whites can only do right. This is what the critical race theory teaches. If white folk want to do right, they can only do right by surrendering all of their property rights and surrendering everything to those who are oppressed. See, this is what justifies the riots that you be seeing going on in the city. I used to wonder, how can these folks so comfortably go and burn up folks' businesses like they do and not care? Because critical race theory has taught them that white folk got their privileges and their property unjustly off of the backs of black slaves. So that's where that thinking and that teaching comes from. And therefore, they should not have the privileges that they have today. And so, in essence, what they are saying is we need to divide the world up, divide our nation up. And we are seeing that happen. They want to divide the races. When God is saying in his word, I want you to become one. And so people think that the 1619 Project is good because they've been told on face value that it's all about African American history. So now when we see anybody out here disapproving of it, and particularly if they are white, critical race theory says they are racist. Well, that's because the media only gives you that front picture that it's about the contributions of African Americans, but until you see how they are teaching it, you really won't know the truth, and that's what's being kept from you. And I'm going to show you today some examples of how it is being taught. Now, from some of the, responses I got from people, let me say this. I am all for African American history being taught. It needs to be in there, even more than what they have had it in the history books. I'm in agreement with that. I'm also in agreement that more African American contributions should be told. I did a whole sermon on that about 3-4 years ago about the different contributions that our people have made, the inventions that our people have made that people knew nothing about. I'm for that. Our children need to know how we got in this nation. Yes, slavery should be mentioned, but in terms of making the whole curriculum about slavery and about all the cruelty that black kids had to deal with in life, I'm not for that, because what it is going to do, it is going to train our young people to hate and to be divided from each other. That's the problem that I have with the 1619 project, is how it's going to be taught. Parents, listen to me. Check. I don't know exactly what's going on in the curriculums here in Memphis and Shelby County, but you need to check your children's books, what they are reading and what they are being taught. Don't just sit up and trust that everything is going to be all right, because they have bought different things within the curriculums over there. Let me tell you how most people found out about the critical race theory, and they never would have known it had it not been for COVID. Parents were watching their children's virtual lessons online, trying to help them at home during the pandemic, and that's when they learned about the critical race theory. Had it not been for COVID, they never would have known. Because most kids go to school, they come home, they don't say nothing usually about their lessons. Some kids may, because some parents have trained their kids to do that. But had it not been for COVID, it would not have been found out. And now our city council has voted to allow that. Now, I don't believe city council is trying to purposely teach hatred or want that. They really don't know what's in the curriculum. A lot of people do not know. And if you have not purposely and intentionally gone to study it out, then you will not know it yourself. But I do believe there's coming a time we need to tell our city councilman how we feel about it. Because listen to me, your children will not survive spiritually of the hatred that they are getting ready to sow into their hearts. They won't survive it. And what I mean by surviving, they will not be able to grow up having the ability to love white folk, because they are telling them, everybody over here that is the oppressor is white. That means they are against you. Now, I heard people say, I don't see where they are intentionally teaching hate. No, they don't have a lesson up there, hate white folk. But when you tell me that this person is oppressing me because he's white, I grow up now knowing I got to be against him. And I got to hate him because he hates me. So that's how they are going to teach it. The oppressor is over here and the oppressed. And here's the next thing about calling your children oppressed. That puts your children in victimhood. They begin to see themselves as victims because I'm supposed to be oppressed. So I'm a victim, and therefore I can't make it in life unless somebody gives me something, unless the government gives me something, and therefore I become a victim. That's why this thing is dangerous. And let me show you some of the stuff that's going on around the nation that you don't know. Show you the problem is how they are teaching it. I looked up some of the school systems, Seattle public schools, and if you all go home tonight and just put in Seattle public schools and then next to it, critical race theory, you will see what's going on, several articles about what's going on in Seattle. In the Seattle public schools, they are telling teachers that the school system is guilty of committing spirit murder against black children, and that white teachers must bankrupt their white privilege because of their stolen inheritance. In other words, white folk, your ancestors created this. That's the reason you got your advantage and your privilege, so therefore give up your property. And the teachers are being forced to teach this. In San Diego, all white teachers are being forced to undergo anti-racist therapy and tells them that they are racist. In other words, before they can get jobs or be able to keep their jobs, they are going through training or therapy that says that they are racist and that that's who they are. Now stop and think about that for a moment. I just want you to think about that. Next one. They talking again now, all white people. And I guarantee you, everybody in here knows somebody white that has been a blessing to them or that has helped them. You cannot put all white folk in the same category. Yes, there have been races. Listen to me. Slavery, many slaves, if you want to go back to slavery, here's the complete history. Many slaves were set free because there were white persons called abolitionists. They wanted to abolish slavery, that took their houses, hid the slaves in their basements when the authorities came looking for them, and they helped to set them free on the Underground Railroad. There have always been whites that God has used in order to help our people. You cannot put all white folk in the same category. Come on, somebody. You can't do that. You cannot do that. If you do feel that way, you are a racist. You are a racist. Y'all think that black folk can't be racist. Yes, you can. When you think one race is better than another race, that's racist. So black folk can be racist also. Black folk can hate also. And I'm trying to save your souls, because if that stuff is in your heart and you keep it in there without repenting, you could head to hell. In the Cupertino, California schools, the elementary schools are forcing third graders to deconstruct their racial and sexual identities, then rank themselves by their privilege. They actually separate eight-year-olds into oppressor group and the oppressed group. They actually taking the 8-year-olds and said, all of y'all over here that's black, come over here, or gay, come over here. And all of you that are white, come over here. You're not going to tell me that that's not going to engender strife and hatred toward kids at an early age. You don't want your kids under that, man. In Springfield, Missouri, teachers are forced to locate themselves on an oppression matrix, claiming that, watch this, white heterosexual Christian men are inherently racist and they must atone for their white supremacy. Look at who they're attacking. 3 groups: white, heterosexual, meaning you are straight, and then Christian, which means they coming after the Christian church. So if a white man is heterosexual, meaning straight, that means part of this curriculum is about gay stuff too. So if he's white, if he's heterosexual, and is Christian, he is a racist. That's what will be taught to your children. Now, I don't know if Shelby County schools have adopted this, because the South is still pretty conservative, but this thing is still spreading around the nation. It's coming to a school near you. And if y'all don't learn how to start watching over your children to know what because I'm telling you, in a minute, we all are about to have to switch to homeschooling our children, because the public schools are totally getting anti-God, anti-Christ, anti-people coming together. And then in South Carolina, this is not up on the screen because I found this one out after I gave this to him. But it says they are teaching that white people are automatically racist, that they've been born racist, inherently born racist. Property rights should be abolished. No one should own property. Their own businesses, your home. And they talking about not just them, but they talking about there should be no property rights. Even your house ain't going to be safe. I want you to hear where we're headed in America. White people, and they say this, whenever a white person try to help you, they are doing it because of their own self-interest, that they got an agenda for why they do it. White teachers are being attacked in school, cussed out by students. When a white teacher gives a kid the grade they deserve, kid runs to the office, tells them about it. The white teacher presents the documentation of the test grades, and the white principal, who is now scared of this stuff, now says, go on and give the child an A, because he don't want no pressure. Now that means that's going to work against that child, because she going to need to know what level she's on so she can do better in her studies. But they're making everything about race. Race, race, race. Racism is permanent. Watch this. They're teaching that racism is permanent, that a person cannot change. That's in the critical race theory. The things that allowed slavery to happen. Here's the reason why slavery was able to happen and why it was so cruel. Because they taught that black folk were different, that black folk were on the level of animals. That's why they could be as cruel as they were and could kill so many, because they were being taught that black folks were not human. That's the way they were taught. But the same thing is getting ready to reverse now and happen to where we are now getting ready to say that white folk are racist and prejudiced and they cannot help it. And guess what's going to happen? As more laws get entrenched in our nation, we're going to start looking around trying to kill people of a particular race. That's what's getting ready to happen. So now you sit up here despising hate, but you can't turn around and become hate. If you despise hate, you cannot become it. If you despise bigotry, you can't turn around now and be a bigot for somebody that's white. If you are against discrimination, you can't turn around now just because it's white folk and want to see them be discriminated. Oh, I ain't getting no amens up in here. You cannot become that which you despise. I'm preaching in here today. In Philadelphia, schools, fifth graders are forced to celebrate black communism. Woo, there it is. That's the thing that's behind all this, is communism. So they are making them celebrate. What is communism? It's a long thing. I can't go through it. But in essence, you lose all your freedoms and the government rules your life. So now they are getting it into the kids to get them ready to accept it. Because they're trying to take over America and take our freedoms away. That's what's going on. And black people are just being used. In Buffalo, New York, students are taught that all white people perpetuate systemic racism and force kindergartners to watch this, force kindergarten kids to watch a video of dead black children laying in the street, warning them about racist white police who might kill them at any time. Now stop and think of the fear that's going to put in a child when he goes out in the streets and he sees a white policeman and he's been taught in school that policeman wants to shoot me and kill me. I feel you. I know what you're saying, because you're looking at everything we're looking at on the news. Or what about what's happening on the news and all that? I hear you. I know that. But there are isolated incidents that do happen. Some of the incidents were caused by people who would not obey the law and resisted authority, and sometimes people had to use their authority to restrain them. But folk like the man that killed George Floyd, yes, he ought to be buried under the jail. It's right there in front of your face. He ought to be punished for what he did. Not because he's white, but because of what he did. I'm telling you, this is going to cause our children to have fear. It's going to grow up. And then when you get a child early in life, those beliefs and those worldviews are established in them, and sometimes it's hard for them to break. And then they grow up with it. In Arizona, the Department of Education there says that babies, watch this, look at how stupid this is, that babies show the first sign of racism at 3 months old. I don't remember nothing at 3 months old. But they are saying, because see, they're trying to put that in, they want to cause division in the races. Hear me, y'all. Hear me. In North Carolina, the largest school district there started a campaign against whiteness, and teachers must push anti-racism directly on to students without parental consent, meaning they are getting to where they want to take control of your children and you don't have no consent over them at all. Go online. Every last one of these are online. There are several articles about each one of them. So this is nothing that I made up. And that's why it's difficult for me. I come in here and tell you this stuff. Y'all can't see it because you haven't studied it. And I'm sitting up here, I don't do nothing but research and study. So I'm able to know what's going on. I'm not bragging on myself. Thank you, man of God. Thank you so much. There is no way our children, their little spirits going to survive this. I'm telling you now. Why are they going after the children? Because most of you are set in your beliefs. They ain't coming after us. We establishing what we believe. But children are very impressionable. They believe what adults tell them. And it is said that between 0 and 6 years old, you can establish a child's beliefs forever. The man that started education through the Catholic Church, he was a monk. I forgot his name, but he made the statement, give me your child and I'll give you a Catholic for the rest of his life. And then Joseph Stalin, who was the communist socialist leader in Russia, he died back in 1953, said this, give me 5 years teaching your children and I'll show you the revolution. Which means if I can get them for 5 years and get this stuff embedded in them, they will be the kids that will revolt and rebel or cause the revolution for the next generation. That's why they are doing this in schools. It is to overthrow America, take away our freedoms to bring socialism in. It's a bigger agenda than just black and white. They are poisoning our children's mind. Let me show you, though. Parents are waking up. Here's a parent. I forgot where the school district was, but her name is Chantel Cooper. She's a black woman, and she's standing up against this critical race theory. Roll it.
In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Now I have a dream that we will implement love, not hate, or supporting another Jim Crow's agenda. CRT is not an honest dialogue. It is a tactic that was used by Hitler and the Ku Klux Klan on slavery very many years ago to dumb down my ancestors so we could not think for ourselves. CRT is racist. It is abusive. It discriminates against one's color. Let me educate you. An honest dialogue does not oppress. An honest dialogue does not implement hatred or injustice. It's to communicate without deceiving people. Today, we don't need your agreement. We want action and a backbone for what we asked for today, to ban CRT. We don't want your political advertisement to divide our children or belittle them. Think twice before you indoctrinate such racist theories. You cannot tell me what is or is not racist. Look at me. I had to come down here today to tell you to your face that we are coming together and we are strong. This will not be the last. Greet and meet respectfully.
I had a lady to write me this week, and she says, why do you take up for white people and defend them and not your own people? Let me say this. I am not trying to defend any particular group. I am defending truth. That's what I'm defending. I don't want to see white supremacy, and I don't want to see black supremacy. I want to see God supremacy. It's what I want to see. I've had my struggles with race just like you have. And God had to work on my heart, and he has over the years. And I ain't going to tell you that it's been easy. No, many of you are recovering racists. You're recovering from it. You're trying to come out of it. You're hearing the word and you're trying to come out. But no, it hasn't been easy because this stuff has been etched in us coming up over the years. We've been hurt. Nobody's saying ignore, what. Look, I am all for peaceful protests. That when people are violating and taking our rights, yes, the government gives us the right to protest. But it needs to be nonviolent. It needs to be peaceful. The Martin Luther King generation did it the God way. This generation wants to rob, burn, loot, and steal. I heard what some guy online said, he was upset because the Derek Chauvin case, the man that killed George Floyd, they said he was guilty of it, and he was upset. He going, dog, man, I was hoping he was going to be innocent so that everybody can go out and rob and burn. I can get me a new TV set. That's the mentality of many people in our community. I'm tired of seeing the devil play on the emotions of our people. They come after that anger, that nerve in us, that hurt, painful nerve that's been in us, and they play that, put it all out there on TV to cause us to hate each other. And we all thinking we helping ourselves when we are a part of their chess game. It's some few people behind the scenes getting the power and the money, and nothing ever changes in the hood. Nothing ever changes. I'm just going to tell the truth today. Nothing ever changes for black people. And our inner hatred, whether you voice it or not, if it's in your heart, God sees it, and it hinders and blocks your blessings. Tell you that now. You get along with your friends, and you can just hear where people are when they talk. Go into a barbershop, beauty shop, just listen to folk talk, and you know where their hearts are. I'm so tired of these white folks, that's still hatred and bitterness. That's still in the heart. That has to be. I never heard, as I told you last week, I never heard my parents, not one time, can I remember at the dinner or breakfast table my parents telling us, white folks this, white folk that. We never heard that. And that has helped me because it hadn't been entrenched in me. And that's why I know this is dangerous for our children, because if they get this early in life, and then keep on living and grow up with it and don't know how to repent and turn around, they are headed to eternal damnation. Hell, hate will put you in hell. I want you to hear me now. Hatred will put you in hell. That's not only for black folk, any white folks that are racist toward us and hate black people, it's going to put you in hell. I don't care who the individual. It ain't got to be just white folk. Your own folk that you have issues with, that you may be carrying tension and strife with and hatred with, it will put you in hell if you keep walking in that. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about what God says regarding how to deal with racism, how to deal with folk that hate you. And it's all through the scriptures. I'm not foreseeing anyone, white or black, being dehumanized. And this stuff going on with critical race theory will dehumanize all white people. And see, some of us got this attitude. Well, because I hear them on the radio and some on social media. Well, we black folk done been through a whole lot. White folk done carried us through this. They enslaved us. It's our time now, and it's time for them to be put in the back of the line. That's a racist hatred, heart, and attitude. Because in essence, you want revenge. And the reason you're quiet right now, because many of you have thought that way. It's our time. White folk done this to us over the years. They done made slaves out of us. Yeah, let them go on. Let them feel what we done felt. That's an ungodly position. Don't think I haven't been tempted to come in here and take the side of my people because you want your people to like you and love you. I have battled with it. And then I hear my conscience saying, but go preach my word. And now I got to come out of here. Watch. I got to make a choice between man or Christ. Because sometimes what Jesus says is going to offend your racial side. Hear what I'm saying up in here today. Christ will offend you when you want to hold on to a wrong belief. I'm preaching up in here today. Watch what Galatians 1 verse 10 says. in the New Living Translation. Watch this. It says, obviously, I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant. So if I'm trying to please black people because they want me to hate like they hate, I won't be a servant of Christ. And when I stand before God, it won't be you that I'll be standing in front of. It'll be Almighty God. And that's how he's going to judge me. Did you please me, AR, or did you please black folk? And I'm telling you, you're getting close to the point, it's already here, where you're going to have to make a decision between color or Christ. Because your color wants you to believe this way and act this way, but Christ got another whole agenda. My job is to conform you to the image of Christ, meaning make you more like Jesus. That's my job. So how do we treat racist and prejudiced folk? Here's the first question, because see, here's the problem right now. Slavery been over with 157 years. Folk today ain't picked one piece of cotton, and we still harboring on slavery. We haven't let it go yet. So here's one of the things critical race theory teaches also, that even the descendants today are to bear the sins of their ancestors. Maybe their great-great-granddaddy who came up in a generation that taught that, believed one thing, but here 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 generations later, the children think totally differently. Are they to be punished just because their great-great-great-granddaddy had a cotton field with slaves on it? That's the question. That's what is going on now. White folk, pay for what your ancestors did. No matter what's in your heart, pay for it. Now let me show you what God says. In Ezekiel 18, in verse 20, in the New Living Translation, God says this: the person who sins is the one who will die, meaning those who practice doing wrong. The child will not be punished for the parent's sins, and the parent will not be punished for the child's sins. Righteous people will be rewarded for their own righteous behavior, and the wicked people will be punished for their own wickedness. God is saying that the children should not have to pay for what the parents did. You only judge folk by their behavior and how they act. So if a white racist that hate people does that, he should be dealt with because of that. Not because he's white, or not because he came from a generation of people ahead of him that were racist. What if your granddaddy, no, your daddy, had gambled the family's money away, had sold drugs, and then shot and killed the man when he was selling drugs? And then he died. And then the investigators came and said, look, your daddy shot and killed somebody. He sold drugs. He's not here, but somebody need to pay, and I think the son needs to go to jail for what his daddy did. Well, that's what you're saying that you want to see happen to white folk today who may have had racist great-great-grandparents. So if you don't want it to happen to you, you can't see it happen to them. But it's that little thing in us that still want to get back. Might as well tell the truth. It's in most people, most in our community. People have really grabbed onto the word of God. You probably free of it, but it's something on the inside. It's time to get whitey back. Let's get all white people back. Yeah, it's our time. They need to feel what we done gone through with, that they hated us. Now it's time for us to get back. And that is a wrong heart. And it is not the Spirit of Christ. Now see, here's another thing. You go back to slavery. All right, let's go back to slavery. It may not have been no slavery if the African chieftain hadn't sold his own people. So if we gonna go back and blame white folk for back then, we gotta go back and make our own people accountable when the African chief wanted guns that the white man had and some of his other resources. He sold his own folk into slavery rather than defend and protect his own people. So you got your man on white folk, but it's been folk in our community that have always sold us out. Sold us out. And all you see is white, but you ignore what goes on in your own community. This girl that was over Black Lives Matter, Patrice Cullors, she was the leader. She had to resign this week because so much pressure has come against her because they gave her $3.2 million. She done bought 3 or 4 houses for her and her family. Not one dime of Black Lives Matter money has gone to those families that lost their kids. Not one dime. Our own folk are selling us out. As a matter of fact, Breonna Taylor's mother has just recently said that Black Lives Matter is a fraud. I told you that a year ago. It's all out there. Go online and look it up. But all we see is white folk. We can see one white policeman wrongly kill a black man, but we can't see 50 black boys being killed in Chicago by their own friends and won't say a word about it. Not one word. I ain't heard Al Sharpton say not one thing about the boys that are killing their own. And you sit up here worried about white folk. The greatest murder rate is among our own people. So I guess their lives don't matter. Black Lives Matter. How about all Black Lives Matter? Am I preaching in here today or not? Now, I want y'all to write every last one of these references down that I'm finna give you. I'm finna show you what Jesus says or what the Word says about how to handle this stuff in God's way. And this can be applied to not only the race situation, but many of you have frictions with friends, co-workers, even family members. God's finna show you how to deal with anybody. You got a problem with not just race. I'm focusing on race, but this is for anybody. And some of y'all are in strife relationships now. And God gonna show you how to handle it. In Matthew 7, verse 12, in the New Living Translation, Jesus says this: do to others whatever you would like them to do to you. This is the essence of all that is taught in the law and the prophets. So whatever way you want to be treated, God says that should be the way you should treat somebody else. Let me ask you this. Would you want to be called racist every day? Would you want to be called an oppressor every day? Would you want past mistakes, past problems to be in your face or your children's face every day? Well, God says whatever way you want to be treated is the way you are to treat somebody else. 1 John 4, verse 7, New Living Translation. It says this: dear friends, let us continue to love one another, for love comes from God. Watch this. Anyone who loves is a child of God and knows God. So if you don't love your white brother and sister, or if you don't love some friend that you got strife with, you don't know God. Why? Because when you got saved, God, who is love, came in you, and now it gives you the potential to love even people that are hard to love. So if you're not walking that out, you don't know the God you claim to know. Love is important, y'all. Hear me now. I just showed you last week. If you don't love and you are hating, you are equated to a murderer. Because that's what's in your heart. Stay with me. Luke chapter 6, verse 27 through 32. But to you who are willing to listen, notice, those of you that's willing to listen, because everybody ain't willing to listen. I say love your enemies, your white racist enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those, thank you, baby. I hear you over there. Give me an amen. Bless those who curse you. White people have cursed our people. God said, bless them. Pray for those who hurt you, because there's no way you can stay in strife and pray for somebody at the same time. He's showing you how. This is right. I ain't going to tell you this is easy, y'all, but this is what he says to do, and he makes no distinction. He never says, don't do it to white folk because they put you in slavery. This is for any enemy you got, or anyone you consider to be an enemy. If someone slaps you on one cheek, offer the other cheek. Now, God, I kind of had a problem. You were doing all right till you got to that part. He said, offer the, but this is what he says, offer the other cheek. If someone demands your coat, offer your shirt. Give to anyone who asks when things are taken away from you. Don't try to get them back. God, I loaned this guy $100. He told me he's going to give it back to me next week. It's been 5 weeks. You mean tell me I'm supposed to give it to him? That's what God says. And I've had to do it a many times. I've loaned people money, and they didn't give it back to me. And the only thing that kept my heart, I had to release it. And this is how I deal with losing stuff. God, that's all right. They haven't paid me. I just plant it as a seed. Because that means I'm going to get a return if I don't go and fight back. Now, I want you to see love today in action. The movies today just ain't got no depth to them at all. But in the 50s and 60s, they made movies that had life lessons. This is a movie that Sidney Poitier was one of our first early black stars in the movies. Way before Denzel, that was Sidney Poitier. And he was in a movie called No Way Out, and it was about a white man that hated him because Sidney is a doctor. Sidney was trying to save his brother, but his brother ended up dying. And his racist brother, you black this, you N-word this, you the cause of my brother dying, so he blames him. And throughout the whole movie, he spits in his face, blows smoke in his face, calls him the N-word and all that. And in the end, he points a gun at Sidney, shot Sidney in the arm. Some kind of way he messed up and got shot in his own leg. And I want you to see the power of this. This is how love looks. And from the end of this movie, I want you to watch it. Roll it.
It's bleeding. It's bleeding hard, please.
Let it bleed. Tear it some more. Let it bleed fast.
You'll have to help me.
To do what?
Whatever I can to keep him alive.
Why? What for? A human being's got to have a reason for being alive. He hasn't got any. He's not even human. He's a mad dog. You kill mad dogs, don't you?
Don't you think I'd like to? Don't you think I'd like to put the rest of these bullets through his head?
Then go ahead.
I can't.
Why not?
Because I've got to live too.
Then give it to me.
You've got to live.
I will, believe me. Happy as a bird with him dead.
Please help me.
No.
Look, he's sick. He's crazy. He's everything you said. But I can't kill a man just because he hates me.
What do you want me to do?
Take your scarf off. Put it around his thigh. Not too tight.
You sure you're all right?
Thanks.
They took the time getting you.
Don't cry, white boy. You're gonna live.
Now watch for a moment the power of that. He heaped coals of fire on his head until he was so guilty he couldn't even look at him. This black man that he had treated so bad was demonstrating love to him, and it was convicting him. Y'all, I remember, and this doesn't deal with racism, but I had some members of the church that had talked about me like a dog. And I remember going up to the hospital to seeing one of them. And when I walked in, I bought him some fruit, and I had heard everything he had said. And when he looked at me, he began to boo-hoo and cry. He couldn't handle it. My love heaped coals of fire. See, I could have gotten back, been angry, but then people can predict. Anger is predictable. They can have, because they can come back and get angry back with you, but folk can't handle love. People can't handle love. I remember a girl, and she was black, at a restaurant, and she just treated me so nasty. This has been several years. It's been over 20, 25 years, long time, but she was black, just treated me so nasty. And when I was getting ready to give out, I tipped big. I tipped real good. And I started not to tip her because of how she had treated me, and I heard the Lord say, give her a $10 tip. I gave her the $10, and I saw her melt right in front of me. She started thinking about everything she had done. She tried to find a little way to be nice, to cover over. She never said, I'm sorry. But every time I came in that restaurant after that, she would give me extra stuff on my plate, give me the best seats in the house. She was trying to make up. You can do more damage with love than you can with anger. I'm going to give you these three scriptures. I'm going to let you go. Bear with me. Matthew 5:43 through 47. Have I ever rejoiced? Okay, is that Matthew? Matthew 5. There you go, 43. You have heard the law that says, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. Next verse. But I say, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. Next ones. In that way, watch this, in that way you will be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. So if you're going to carry out resentment and hatred toward white people, and you're going to keep that in your heart, whether you say it or not, if it's in the heart, you are not walking as true children of God. God compels us to love, and CRT is divisive. Last two scriptures, Isaiah 43, verse 18, and then I'm going to look at Philippians 3, and I'm going to let you go. Should we keep 1619 project that rehashes old slavery and all the cruelty of slavery and put that in front of our children? I mean, they're going to tell them how they were thrown over in the waters and how they were beaten, just going to keep it in front of the children. The Bible says, do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. And then Philippians 3:14 says this, verse 13, No, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. If the children are constantly looking in the past, they can't go forward. I rest my case today. Bow your heads. Father, I pray today that racial reconciliation can take place amongst our people, black and white, and that we all have your heart, that we can demonstrate being children of God, true children of God, because we walk in love. I pray right now that the spirit of love will fall in this house like never before. Heal every hurt, every past racism hurt that these your precious people have experienced. I pray for every person that is racist, that is white and racist today, that God, you do a work in their hearts. Let us, as we saw in that movie, walk in love toward even those who may be our enemies, and that we don't blame everybody for the sins of somebody else. Let us walk in love, Father, and I pray that you protect our school systems, that you protect our government leaders, that you give them wisdom and revelation of what they are bringing into our city. Open their eyes. I pray for the schools. I pray for the teachers. I pray for the administrators, God, that they see love and not hate. God, we honor you today. Thank you for being in our midst and in our presence. And bless these as your people as they leave. And I plead the blood of Jesus over them right now. In Jesus' name, put your hands together and give God praise, if you will. If you're here today and you know you're dealing with racial situations, maybe you got a racist supervisor, boss, or manager, anybody's treating you in the wrong way. Maybe you may be having some kind of friction or strife with a family member or somebody else that's black, co-worker or whoever. Any kind of situation you're in where you're finding yourself bitter, hateful, unforgiving, you need to get that out of your heart right now. I wouldn't leave out of this place today until I came and received prayer. These ministers are standing down here ready to pray for you. If that's you on either one of those invitations, come to this middle aisle right now, wherever you are. You don't have to be ashamed. We don't have to know what your situation is, but you just want to be made right with God, wherever you are. Come on. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. Let her hold right there.